Today's episode of The Mom Game is brought to you by our friends at Gateway Buick GMC at LBJ and Jupiter. I know that buying a car can be stressful, but not at Gateway because their slogan is, Gateway's got it. And just what does that mean? Well, it means Gateway's got a wide selection of new Buicks, GMCs, and GM-certified used vehicles, all competitively priced. Gateway's got it. In these busy times, you want a car dealer who makes things easy and convenient? Well, guess what? Gateway's got it. When you log on to gatewaybuickgmc.com, look for the Shop, Click, Drive button. This allows you to shop from the comfort of your home, and who doesn't want that? In fact, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, select your vehicle. 2, create your offer. 3, schedule your delivery. And on top of all this, Gateway Buick GMC offers complimentary car washes for life. So when you want a dealer who has it all, Gateway's got it. You can find them online at gatewaybuickgmc.com or shop in person at LBJ and Jupiter. GMC, we are professional grade. Experience the new Buick. And welcome into the Mom Game episode. I'll give you a hint. Heinz
57. That was a good hint.
Does anybody use Heinz 57 sauce?
Ketchup?
No, it's like, isn't
I thought that was ketchup.
No, that's just Heinz.
Oh.
There's a Heinz 57.
What is that?
sauce.
Like a special sauce?
I think it has like 57 ingredients.
But what is it?
I don't know. I'm just making
You
things
put it
up.
on a hot dog?
I don't know. It was a big player when I was young.
I always just thought that was ketchup.
Heinz, does it say 57 on a ketchup bottle?
I don't know.
Wow,
you know what?
This episode is taking quite the turn, and here we are with ketchup talk.
Well,
Tell us your favorite condiment. Let's go.
Favorite condiment. Well, speaking of not knowing things, on the ticket today, I don't know if you heard. Do you know how many people are on the soccer field? You probably do.
No,
what would you even
Let me
guess?
tell you something. I've never watched a professional soccer game.
I mean, I've watched like the World Cup a couple times.
Okay, yes.
But I don't remember.
16?
Like on total or?
Yeah. And then the goalies. So 18?
Total?
Yeah.
So that'd be like
18.
8 and
So 9 and 9.
8 and
so
8.
8 and 8, 2 goalies. What is it?
It's 11, so you're actually not that far off.
11 on each team?
Yeah.
It's fucking football.
I know.
That's why they call it football. Football and football.
You think that's why?
No, I don't know.
Well,
we don't know anything. We're talking about Heinz 57
I know, and
sauce.
that it just reminded me. Like here, I love just like shooting the shit and talking about Heinz 57. But the ticket, it's like, and when that stuff comes up, and so I would like openly guessed, I was like 5 because I've been watching kids soccer. Like that's all I watch. And then it's just, the pile on. Like,
what
like
an
it was
idiot.
Because Bob called in to talk soccer with Dan because it's all about like the Super League that they're talking about forming over
I heard
in
about
Europe.
This, and I got tired head.
Yeah, it's
immediately.
such
I'm
tired
like,
head.
Don't care about professional soccer.
I don't either.
Yeah,
but I'm supposed to pretend. Like I'm supposed to kind of know.
No, don't.
But I don't.
pretend. Just be like, I don't care about
I know.
soccer.
Well, and so Dan's like, does
And I feel
anybody
bad because
know?
I feel like FC Dallas is a cool organization. Whatever. I don't understand it. I'm not into it.
Well, we have enough here that we don't necessarily need to care about soccer. We've got so much right now. Like we can focus on. I can only handle like.
I feel bad because Gina Miller is one of my favorite people, and
Me
she's
too.
like big up with FC Dallas, and I just haven't ever been to one. Kids soccer wears me out completely. So
Are y'all done with soccer? Or are you still doing
I think we're done. But Hattie literally like complained the last 5 games. I'm like, we're not playing next year if you don't want to. It's not worth it to force. I'm like, please trust me. We're cool if you don't want to play. She was like, yeah, I think I might retire. I'm like, oh, well, that's a little aggressive for a 7-year-old to announce their retirement from soccer.
Calling a presser.
Yes, but whatever.
Hattie McCoy.
I've decided to walk away from the game that I love.
At least she could say that though, because that's it, when they're indifferent and you feel like you have to like try to get them to do all these things and like when do you stop? And
if my kids aren't in it, I'm out. Like if you're not totally into this, I'm not taking your ass to practice.
Were they totally into it right at first though? Because I feel like
she wanted to be with her friends.
Yeah.
And then after 5 games, it's like, oh, that was fun. And now let's move on to something else. And I'm like, no, you have to finish. You made a commitment. We're going to finish. But Yeah, soccer just I don't get it.
I don't either. And I said 5 today, and then of course it was like
Okay, well
7.
that's okay. Now we know how many players are on a soccer field.
I think it's 11. I think
And,
that's what they said.
Yeah, and that sounds good. And we still don't know anything about
Heinz 57.
Heinz 57. I'm gonna look it up. Because I feel like
I thought it was like a brand of
Heinz ketchup. This is riveting radio or podcasting right now.
I'm gonna have a sip of wine.
Yeah. So let's pull back the curtain. And we were supposed to have a guest on today, but there is no 57. There's no 57 on Heinz tomato ketchup.
What do you mean?
There's no, if you Google images, there's no 57. It's just,
Okay, but
there's no 57 anywhere on there.
so what is it?
So Heinz 57 sauce, the mom game, where you come for all your latest condiment
this is one of
news.
those fun facts people can tell
Heinz,
their friends.
Oh, look, see, here's Heinz 57 sauce. See it?
Oh,
You remember it?
the zest. Add zest to steak, chicken, and
Yeah,
pork.
it's like steaks. I haven't seen this in.
I know.
It reminds me of my childhood. Oh my gosh, an A1. My dad loved A1.
Really?
He loved A1 sauce. Isn't that crazy? Okay.
Yeah, because I am like kind of my stepdad was like really into cooking really good meat, and now Kelly's really into it. And
Yeah.
I just feel like in steak and in barbecue and beef, I just feel like you shouldn't be putting anything on it if it's
I know.
really good.
I know my kids put ketchup on their steak, and it really
They do.
rubs my husband the wrong way.
So does Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, okay.
Because he was a Heinz spokesperson or something. And
that's true.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he talked about putting ketchup on his steak.
Well, I mean, I'll put ketchup on my steak for
Really?
endorsement.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, for an endorsement, I'll do
Please.
fucking anything.
Okay, so back to the whole genesis of the show. This is episode 57. And sorry for
Yes.
detracting for a bit on condiment and soccer team talk. And here we are. And we were supposed to have a guest. He's going to come on at a later date, but we had to reschedule. So this is
Free flowing mom
Julie
game.
and Emily hodgepodge, which this is where we tend to have the most fun.
We kind of do.
We do. So we're
like
going to start
hodgepodge
with
shows.
some sports scores.
Yep.
Fill us in on the Stars.
So the Stars have got on a little bit of a run. They've won 2 in a row, but they are 6-2-2 in their last 10 games.
Love it. Fucking overtime. What is the deal with overtime now? What's the problem
They need
here?
to just not go to overtime.
Where's Jussi Jokinen when we need him?
Yeah,
Are they doing shootouts, right?
They do
Only
shootouts
if you go
after
past the.
after the 5-minute overtime period, 3-on-3 now. So it's like there's a lot of open ice, and it gets kind of crazy. You turn the puck over once, and it usually ends up in the back of your net. The Stars were really good in overtime last year, and it was I want to say it was like Ben, Sagan, Klingberg. They'd always throw out there for their first 3, and then like Radulov would be in the next wave. And right now we don't have Tyler Sagan, we don't have Alexander Radulov.
Right.
Jamie Benn is playing well, but he needs some support from those types of players. The guys that they were hoping would really like kind of step up, like Denis Urianov, who led the team in scoring last year, has had just like a real crappy year. Like young Russian guy that has a lot of skill, but they've been trying to get him to play more of a two-way game. The whole Mike Modano story. Like you've got a guy that is skilled and wants to score, but you got to teach him to come back and get back on defense and all that. They've been working with him, and he just hasn't been scoring like they hoped. So anyway, I think all of that like comes to a head in overtime because you're missing some of your real skilled players, your snipers, if you will. Plus, the goaltending hasn't been as good as it was, especially in the bubble. Anton Hudobin was so good in the bubble.
I know.
And he's just been a little more like average. It's not like
We're
been
not
bad.
going home.
We're not going home. But they're figuring it out a little bit. They did announce that Tyler's skating, and I think
Tyler Sagan, our friend.
Tyler Sagan, our friend, the Mom Game's own, he's skating again after a big hip surgery, and hopefully can get in. I think they said April 26th was kind of what they were targeting. So
next
as
week?
of today, like late next week, hopefully he'll be back. Alexander Radulov, Ben Bishop done for this season.
That sucks.
Ben Bishop, also of Mom Game fame.
Yep.
And he was hurt when we talked to him, and he had surgery, and I don't think the recovery is going as well as they wanted.
Awesome.
I saw him at an Easter egg hunt.
Oh.
And he looked good, He was with his little newborn, or not newborn anymore, but the baby that was born right before he went to the bubble baby, Ben Ben was the first kid. I actually don't know the second kid. Anyway, he looked good, but I think the recovery isn't what they hoped it would be. So, all that to say, the Stars are 3 points out of a playoff spot heading into tonight's game. They're going to play 4 games in a row against Detroit just because of the way they had to like reschedule some of the games after the Stars had their COVID incident to start the season, and they missed like 7 games because they all had COVID. So they're going to play 4 games with Detroit. Detroit is last in the division. So you would hope they can really like make some hay here and get some of those points and get back up possibly even ahead of Nashville. It's crazy because like if you would have asked me 10 days ago, I'm like, how many more games till the season's over? Like I was kind of like thinking it was over. Like, let's just ride this thing out. The team looks like they don't have much energy. They're all hurt. They're playing every other day. They're just tired. And then they win a few games and it's like that old team that you know and love is perhaps back. And I think they needed it personally, mentally, win a few games and be like, we can do this. We can do this without some of our guys.
Dude, if you get hot this time of year.
That's when you want to get hot. Yeah. And Nashville, who was hot now, is backing off a bit. And that's who we need to jump.
Yeah.
So it'll be a real interesting end to the season, hopefully. These 4 games against Detroit are big. And I think we're going to go tonight. I haven't been to a game in a really long time. Because honestly, like, I just found that it was easier to stay home with the kids and then with the they yelled at us about masks a couple of times. And I was like, nah, I don't like getting yelled at. I'm just going to stay home and breathe freely on my couch. Yeah. But I think we're going to go tonight because that big surgery we talked about last week is happening.
Big surgery. We talked about it last week.
Yeah.
Prayers with you. Hopefully everything goes okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Enjoy that glorious night by yourself in the hospital with people waiting on you.
All the drugs.
Just pretend
Maybe I can request some laughing gas per Emily Jones.
Yes. Pretend like you're at the Ritz or something instead of like a stupid hospital.
It kind of is the Ritz. Like, and you just, I mean, like, was it like that when you had a baby? I kind of really loved having babies. Like, because you have this like magical gift. The baby is handed over to you. You love the baby. It's so cute. It's like everything you've always been thinking about. Then you can send it off to the nursery.
They did not encourage the sending off to the nursery at the hospital I was at. No.
See, we did it for Ryder because it was our first baby. And I'm never letting go. And with Anna, it was like, here you go.
Oh, yeah. Well, Henry was in the NICU. So we had it for a little while and then said, then you didn't want it.
Yeah.
But they weren't into that. It wasn't, we'll take him.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, it was fun. I just liked being like waited on and that was a lot more fun thing. This is just like I'm having a bunch of shit yanked out of me. So it's not as exciting, but I will enjoy just the R&R.
Yeah.
My quick aside about getting old. Like I don't know when it started. Somewhere after my 30s, I want to say in like the last 2 years where like you just like get injuries from like living life and just like you pull something just like walking or like bending over to pick up a sock. It's like, I'm like, when the hell did this happen?
Tear a meniscus on a dance floor.
Yes, you did that.
I did.
Like this morning I was like, okay, surgery tomorrow. Like what's the best thing I can do? I'm going to do some yoga. I had like 20 minutes. I pulled my effing neck, like doing yoga. No. And so it's been hurting all day. I'm like, the whole point was to try to get my body to feel good.
Right.
And nothing, it's like the type of injury where nothing even happens. It's not like, I pulled something. It's like,
I know.
You don't know the moment where anything even happened.
I woke up the other day with like that. And I was like, with my neck. Henry's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I just think I slept on my neck wrong. Like,
and you're doing like, the full body.
Yeah, so
like,
hey.
And like the Michelin man.
Yeah. He's like, are you going to be all right? And like the look on his face is like, oh my God, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I think I just slept on it wrong or the pillow's too hard. And he's like, oh, okay, Mom.
Getting old sucks.
I know it does. It does. Yeah. I ran downhill today and I have shin splints now. Like it's like
from running downhill.
Yeah. There's a hill. I've run with my kids to Starbucks this morning because we didn't have school for the 800 millionth time in the last year. So Hattie decided she wanted to rollerblade, which it's like a 1.75 miles to Starbucks. So can you imagine 3.5 miles with this child on rollerblades?
No.
It's a fucking disaster.
Not
but
at
whatever.
all.
I was like, we need to get out of the house.
Well, and you can't like stop rollerblading because then you've got to like my kids will want a scooter and then they stop and I've got to carry the scooter. But like then she doesn't have shoes on and then Did she rollerblade the whole time?
She did. We gave up like right when we got back into the neighborhood and she like sat in the grass for a while. I was like, will you come pick me up? I was like, we're literally 10 yards from our house. You're getting, get up.
Pick me up.
Will you come pick me up? Yeah.
So what you're telling me is this doesn't get any better when they're 7.
No, no, or 9. Okay. So you did the cryo. Did you go do the cryo?
Yeah.
Was it?
I
haven't
did.
done cryo. Like you did the full body cryo, right?
I did. You haven't done that one?
I haven't. It's been a long time. So our friend Rick from Cutting Edge Cryo was in last week and told you should come get your body ready. And I saw on your soch mead.
Soch mead. I mom game soch that.
Yeah.
My Kelly's son, Isaac, my stepson, who I think I've briefly mentioned on here, he's in town right now, which we love having him. We could do a whole nother episode on like child situations, but he's 17. He's great. He lives in Colorado. He's in town and I've already had him babysit like 3 times.
Oh, amazing.
But like Saturday, I was like, I could scoot away for a minute and go do this because Rick said it was really good prior to surgery. And it's funny because I went in and I had like a little bit of a like fog brain, just didn't feel great. And I left and I just felt like energy. Yeah. Like I did feel a lot better.
Yeah. That will
hurt my neck.
And then you hurt your neck. But two, we should mention that Rick did make a pretty sweet offer to our mom game listeners that if you want free any treatment, like he's like, you mentioned the mom game, that means you were listening
and mentioned that you heard him
on the show, then you get to try any of their treatments
here on the mom
free.
game.
Yes, so go
for helping you.
Oh, yes,
this place is awesome. They can do all kinds of different
things. Go take advantage of that.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so that was the Star Sports Courts and a lot of other shit that we worked on.
Yeah, I know.
But
stick to sports.
Yes.
We can't stick to sports.
So I saw the Rangers won the last game of this series after like not scoring.
Dude, we cannot win at home. We can't score at home. It's so
like, and they're stranding a lot of runners.
Well, they're not even getting a ton of hits. Like they just can't hit at home. And I can't, no one can really figure it out. Like it's the damnedest thing. Cause it's not like no one's hitting at the ballpark. It's not like it's this giant vacuum, right? The new park.
Cause the opponents
they couldn't hit last year. They can't hit this year. Opponents are not like at an alarming clip.
It was 1-0
last night,
yesterday. But I didn't see the other two games.
It was Baltimore. Yeah. I mean, but we've played some, and it's a small sample size in 2021, but in 2020 we couldn't hit here. So it's like, dude, we're getting some legit pitching. Like, legit pitching.
All guys that seemed like they were kind of question marks coming in. Like you didn't know.
Because the entire pitching staff basically last year had down years. I mean, Kyle Gibson did not have a good year. Jordan Lyles did not have a good year. And then everybody else that's in the mix is pretty much new. And so you had so many question marks coming in. And they've gotten you're talking about like sub 1 ERAs from Kyle Gibson and Dane Dunning. Kyle Gibson, if you take out opening day, when he had like 800
he was
ERA.
nervy.
Yeah, nervy. So anyway, they're getting really good pitching. And I'm like, if we scored like 3 runs in these games, we would win.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's frustrating. And I know it's frustrating for them. But they've got to figure it out because they're 7-9 as we shoot today, in Anaheim for a series. So, I mean, you're still hanging
7-9. I mean, they were just did they get to 500?
They've got one game within one game of 500.
And then they went back.
Yes. And so I feel like if they can just get something, if they can hover around 500 until like June, July, that to me, that keeps people interested. It keeps them engaged, all those things. And so it's been a strange start to the season. I mean, like you take 3 of 4 from Tampa at their place, and then you come home and drop 2 of 3 to Baltimore at home.
It's like the Mavs, man.
Right. It's like, what's
like none of it makes any
happening. It doesn't make sense.
But at least you can justify it with the Rangers because they don't have high expectations at all. And they have a lot of players that you don't know much about. Right. And we're figuring out about these players. That's why it could be exciting. Like if these young guys can really get something going.
And that's why they're a fun team to watch. I mean, granted, when they're not hitting, it's not fun, but they're competitive. They're competing. And if you're not seeing good hitting, it most likely on the night you're seeing some good pitching.
But at least there's that.
So at least there's that. And then in other news, I'm moving on up.
Tell us about this.
To tier 2.
Tier 2. You were tier 3.
So right now I'm tier 3.
Okay. So what did you have to do to move up?
Well, were
they just super impressed by your work?
Wowed. They were wowed by my tier 3 performance. And no, there's a certain number of spots, and based on I don't know what spots open up. So John Daniels, the president of the club, texted me the other night. Was like, "Hey, we've got spots open in tier 2.
Did somebody have to die?
Do you want? I don't think anyone died.
Like at the ticket?
Yeah, right. No, I don't think anyone died.
That's good.
Yeah. So but then there's all these protocols. Like, So now I have to start intake testing. And so I have to go on Wednesday and get tested. And then I think I have to get tested like every 2 or 3 days.
Oh, really?
Which is fine.
Is this the same thing like the players do?
I don't know if it's on as regular basis. And I think the protocols are slightly stricter for them. In fact, I know they're stricter for tier 1 than they are for tier 2. But there was all these things because I was like, okay, I would love to be in tier 2. That means I can get onto the field. I can be in the dugout like during batting practice.
During batting practice?
So I can actually have face-to-face conversations with these guys. So I'm super excited about that. But I was like, am I still going to be able to go to my kids' games? Am I going to be able, like all that stuff? And so I reviewed the protocols and it's like, if you're fully vaccinated, you can congregate with other fully vaccinated people. And I mean, it's a whole long list of things. And the last thing you want to do is F something up, and give a team COVID. I mean, I'm fully vaccinated, but then the other thing I'm worried about is I'm worried about a false positive.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we've had a ton of those in baseball.
The Stars just had it happen to them with
with
head
bonus.
Coach.
Yeah.
And Anton Hudobin, starting goaltender, head coach.
Right. And so I'm like, oh, I'm kind of worried about it. Because then it's like,
And then if there's then what with the Stars, it was like they almost knew it was a false positive.
Right.
So they didn't do like oh my God, everybody's got to go quarantine, and I feel like
did the same thing happen with Carlisle? Mavericks,
yes,
the Mavericks
same thing
head coach?
happened. So I feel like a year ago, had you had a positive, it was like everything's shut down, everybody goes in quarantines. And now, especially because I think like they knew Rick Bowness and I think Anton were vaccinated.
Well, so was Rick Carlisle.
Yeah.
So it's like, So anyway, so I'll start that process.
Just don't worry about that.
But I think, and I think for me, it's worth it. To make just to abide by these protocols for whatever, because it's been challenging to do my job. I want to, you can only get to know someone
it's such a big part of your job
over Zoom. Right. So I'm like, okay, I'm in. So yeah.
So will you be able to do interviews and stuff down there?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll have to figure out the protocols and everything like that.
That's good. You deserved that. You should have been.
I think
tier 2 from the beginning.
Maybe have to I might to wear a mask or something when I do the interview. But I'm wearing a mask all the time at the ballpark anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I don't wear it when I'm on the air. I take it off when I'm talking on television.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I feel like that's the whole, like we talked about on the last episode, the whole gray area and everyone's just trying to do the best they can and
just try to figure things
with
out.
These tiers. I did see today, like the PGA Tour said that they're highly recommending everyone get vaccinated on the tour. And people that don't, they're like, that's fine. We're not going to make you, but you're going to have to still do COVID tests and you're going to have to pay for them yourself. They're done.
Really?
Yeah, they're done.
And
it's expensive for these leagues.
Yeah.
Like it's expensive for the Stars, for the NHL, for the MLB, all of them.
Yeah.
And so that's what's going to be weird. It's like, at what point do you say, okay, we're good?
And I'm trying to think. So we're members at Colonial and we got the whole information about the tournament coming up Memorial Day weekend. And I'm trying to remember what the mask policy is.
They're definitely going to be able to have some fans.
Yes. I don't remember what the capacity was, but I mean, I feel like too with the Rangers, we have socially distanced sections that you can, if you are
feel
concerned,
the need,
right, then you do that. But I do feel like a lot of people are wearing masks on the concourse. And then once they get to their seat, they're eating, they're drinking, whatever.
Right.
Which is very similar to a restaurant.
It is. It's
right?
exactly like a restaurant. And you're probably sitting by someone you live with or like
a big giant restaurant.
It's
really big. High ceilings. Lots of times the roof's open.
Better entertainment.
So anyway, and then people were like, and I'm like, okay, well, we're, 16 games into the season, 2.5 weeks. Like how are the numbers looking? Mm-hmm. And so I did a search, I guess it was Saturday night maybe, and it was just like curious because I'm like, I wonder if there has been a bump from since the Rangers decided to, allow how many ever max capacity. And I looked and there was an article on NBC5's website and it had the numbers and in every county, the numbers were down from the previous week.
Wow.
And that was an article dated April 16th. So I put that out there. I'm not a news junkie. I'm not,
I just put it out there. Like
I just want to put, I did.
Okay.
I tweeted it in response to someone.
Did you get in a Twitter fight that I missed?
It wasn't a Twitter
love following
fight.
your Twitter fight.
There's a long time writer for one of the local papers that came after me.
It wasn't just like a random. It was like a
no, yeah. And so we've just kind of been
How did I miss this?
He told me to stay in my lane.
I would have
and
had
then
your back.
Once someone tells me to stay in my
Yeah,
lane,
Em doesn't want to hear that shit. Don't
sticks.
tell Emily to stay in her lane. Actually, don't tell anyone to stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Who are you to tell someone what lane to
What's my
effing
fucking
be in?
lane? I don't have a lane. Okay.
Dumbest thing.
So
to
anyway,
say. What is your
what's my lane?
Like, have you listened to the mom game? We talk about all kinds of shit. I have a new lane now. I'm not just baseball.
I just don't have a lane, period. Ever in my life. I will never have a lane. There's no lane.
Don't put me in a box.
Don't put me in a corner. Nobody puts Emily in a corner.
Damn it. I need to go back and, is it still there?
No, and it wasn't
Did you delete
bad.
it?
No, and then he sent me a direct message and then told me about all the nasty things that another sports writer who has since passed away had to say about me.
Oh my God.
Like, well, I defended you when so-and-so said all these terrible things about you and told me all the terrible things. And I was like, oh, well, thank you for sharing. It was
like,
Easter.
is that supposed to help?
And it was Easter Sunday. And I was like, well, happy Easter. Like, what do you, it's just,
What
anyway.
is with people?
So listen,
it's like
I know, but
they just wanted to tell you that so-and-so said all these bad things about you. So he had to put it into this little subtext by, I defended you when. It's like your whole goal here is just to tell me that someone else is saying something mean to me. So you still suck.
Yes. Yeah. Right. But listen, I am as petty as the next person sometimes.
I feel
and
like
so sometimes
you're very
when I
common sense, though.
But when I get something stuck in my craw, that it's hard. Is craw a word?
I don't know. Is it craw? Crawl? And where is it?
I feel like it's stuck in my craw.
Craw?
Like CRAW or KRAW?
I mean, I hear that, and it's one of those things I'm like, stuck in your craw.
You say it like really fast just to kind of glance over it.
Your craw.
So I get something stuck in my craw.
But I love that, like, you didn't even know it, and you just throw it out there like you know that shit.
Yeah, but I don't.
Stuck in my crawl.
Or is it my crawl?
I've
got something stuck in my. That wouldn't make any sense.
Is it like your crawl space? Have you heard of crawl space?
I've heard of crawl space, but anyway, once it gets stuck in, once it gets under my skin, it's stuck in my crawl. Whatever, I have a hard time letting go. So anyway, this guy was talking about a Rangers bump. Like, oh yeah, I was at there must be a Rangers bump because no blah blah. And I was like, oh well, let's look at this. And so then me being petty and whatever goes to find an article. Now keep in mind, if this article would have said that the numbers
you wouldn't have shown him.
Please, I would have been like,
delete. Oh, okay, I'm moving on.
Didn't see anything. But isn't that? I mean, that's
how everybody is.
I know, but
like you've said on here before, that's like politicians, right? It's like present something that supports what you're saying and ignore the things that don't support what you're saying.
So true.
But the numbers can't be debatable, right? Like that's got to be fact.
Well, I mean, I trust it. Right? I mean, where do we get our news? I don't know. I mean, I trust NBC5. I think. Yeah. I mean,
you would.
But
think.
no, not. Oh, there's. You know how many people I got on my social media that don't trust any sort of mainstream media. I mean, it's that.
So, what are they like? What are they waiting for to where it's going to be okay?
Right. I don't know. But then I feel like there's some people who were like, this is such bullshit. The Rangers are doing this. And then they were just waiting. And actually, I think secretly hoping that we would see spikes. So it could be like, see?
There's a lot of people like that in general. Yeah.
I told you this is going to happen.
With the Rangers, I'm like, but you're over here on one side saying you care so much about public health and that you don't.
But then you're like, yes, let's get those numbers up so I can prove my point, dude.
Right.
Fucking idiots opening shit up and stuff. Like, okay.
I don't know, man. I'm glad things are opening up. It's been a GD year. It's been over a year.
Oh, girl.
I went to dinner Saturday night and there was an hour and a half wait. We called around I was trying to have like a little girl's night.
Did you wait an hour and a half?
Well, we went somewhere else. You could put your name in and then they would text you. So we went somewhere else, but that place had a wait. The first place, I mean, that was like the third place I'd even tried. I'm like, everyone is out.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to go out to dinner. And I think restaurants are like getting this huge influx of people where they're not ready for the demand.
Okay. And then have you seen this? So I have some small business owner friends, restaurateurs. So one of them is Travis and Emma Heim, who own Heim Barbecue. So they're friends of mine. He's like, I literally cannot get people to work for me. Like I cannot get people, like if I schedule 10 interviews for a position that I have open, one will show up. Like he's like, people don't want to work. And then someone posted.
Why?
Whether, I don't know.
They're still getting money?
Maybe. I have, again, don't know.
My uncle is in the restaurant industry and he's mentioned that.
And so somebody posted, again, don't know if it's real, could be photoshopped, for fuck's sake. We never know what we're reading, if what we see is real or not. But there was like a sign at a Wendy's or a Jack in the Box that was like, please be patient with us. We're short-staffed, and the people who did choose to come into work today, please be patient with them or something.
You think everyone's saying like,
don't
I was
wanna
exposed to
work.
COVID?
I don't know.
Or like making up excuses?
I don't know. Or, I don't know.
Well, I was at Chewy's the other day. I told you because I was bitching about the QVC codes. Or QVC codes.
QVC, that's a shopping network.
What is the codes then?
QR.
The QR code.
That was stuck in my craw.
Well, when I said it last week, I hope I said it correctly. Because I think I told them to go to hell. And I hope I told the right thing to go to hell. QR codes. The people at Chewy's were like, well, this is just easier for us because we're understaffed. They said they were understaffed. Yeah. I found Craw.
Okay, what is it?
Craw. Hunters, are you ready for this?
Yeah. Well, how do you spell it?
Craw, C-R-A-W.
Okay.
Stuck in my craw, which just sounds like so hick. Hunters a century ago noticed that some birds swallowed bits of stone that were too large to pass through the craw and into the digestive tract. These stones, unlike the sand and pebbles needed by birds to help grind food in the pouch, literally stuck in the craw, couldn't go down any further. Okay. So they were trying to eat stones that got stuck in their digestive tract. So I guess that when you swallow something and start choking, and you know how you're always like, oh, it's going down the wrong pipe. Like, I don't know why we say that either. Like, it's going to, how many pipes are there in your throat? But you would say it's stuck in your craw. Okay. Or somebody pisses you off and it gets stuck in your craw. I guess. Yeah. Like it's just something that like won't leave you because you're feeling pissed about it. I know. But I feel like after this, I feel like it's out of my craw. Okay, good. Good. Let's get it out of your craw. Let's throw it over there. I mean, it'll be a matter of time before something else gets stuck in my craw. And usually I'm pretty good about like stuff flowing off my back. Too. But sometimes just depends on what kind of mood I'm in. Yeah. Like, okay. I'm up. Certain moods, more things get stuck in your craw. Yes. Well, we can just make a proclamation here on the Mom Game that something gets stuck in our craw, we will bring it to the table. Yes, bring it. We will bring it to the table. We will hash it out. If something's stuck in your craw, let us know. Let us know. Don't ever tell me to feel better. Stay in my lane. Don't tell Emily to stay. Don't tell anyone to stay in their lane. What the fuck? No one has a lane. No one has a lane. There are no lanes except for like on the highway. And if you're in the left lane and you're not going fast, you're flawed. Yeah. Totally flawed. Go fast in the left lane. Don't cruise in the left lane. Mm-hmm. You can get tickets for that. You should get tickets for that. Yeah. Go. Now you're bitching about traffic. Sorry. But yes. Yeah, don't tell Emily to stay in her lane. Okay. What else were we going to talk? We were going to talk about a little bit of like, okay, so this has been on my mind a little bit. First, gossip stuff. When I was younger, I was like so into the gossip column. Oh my gosh. What was it? Okay. Us Weekly. Oh my God. I don't think you magazine. I didn't have a subscription because I when I was couldn't afford it. But like whenever it was at like the drugstore, it was like, oh, the new Us Weekly is out. Oh, yeah. And I'd always buy the new Us Weekly. I mean, obsessed. I remember when I would travel, like when I was younger, like before I got married, like, oh yeah, I get the Us Weekly and the People and and watch TMZ airplane, and all the things. Read about Us Weekly. Yeah. But now I don't even know who these people are that we're supposed to be. I don't know who these people are either. And I guess I see stuff that like is in my face, like on Twitter, you know, if something like I do follow like People magazine. I follow some of. Oh yeah. I don't follow those. Some of them. But like the J-Lo A-Rod breakup. Yeah. So what is their deal? I don't know. So, I mean, talking about like the most narcissistic couple in the history of. Do you think they were just together for publicity? No, I mean, I think they fed off each other. I have no effing clue. I mean, A-Rod was nothing but a giant D to me. Oh, he wasn't, not when I was here. I didn't cover him, but like when he came through with the Yankees and they would always want to do stuff for him, and he'd always like big time me and be like, oh, talk to Zillow, like talk to their PR guy. And I'm like,
I'm a grown ass woman. Like, if you just want to say no, say no. I don't care to talk to you. My producer wants this shit. So, but he'd be like, oh yeah, just give me, just say no. Like, don't hide behind a PR guy. Come on, man.
Jaromir Jagr did that to me. And it wasn't even when he played for us. It was like after he played for us. And I was just trying to get an interview with him about, talking about his former team, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it was like, you had to talk to this guy to even try to get to him. And then they just blow you off. They're like, yeah, maybe. And then they just walk away.
Say no.
It's like, just say
no. And when I talk to our players, like our young guys, I'm like, if you don't have any intent of talking to someone, like, we're all grown people. Just say no. Just say no, or say today's not a good day. If you honestly don't want to talk to the media or whatever, just say, this is not my jam. Like, I don't want to do this. Like,
I don't feel
if you
comfortable
absolutely
today.
need me, fine. But today's not a good day. I was like, just be honest.
And the whole,
like, don't hide behind stuff. Like, just
the whole dynamic of, I always felt kind of weird about it, but you do this all the time. But like the whole dynamic of someone just like sitting there waiting to talk to someone else, like it makes that person probably feel so much more important than those other people. And it was just a weird,
so weird.
Like, but you have to, it's your job. Yeah. And then you're like, you'll sometimes have to sit. I remember the Mavs, like sometimes you'd have to wait forever. Even Dirk was the coolest, nicest person ever. Although still hasn't come on the mom game. So maybe he's not the coolest, nicest person ever, but like he would take forever.
Dude did not come out of the shower for like an hour.
Like he knew what he was doing.
Oh, he knew. Oh, well, I don't think he was doing it intentionally, but he's like, look, I got my whole routine.
But he knows there's people sitting there waiting.
Yes. But yes.
He can do whatever he wants.
Because he's Dirk.
And so you and I'd say are like kind, people that would try to be accommodating. But if you were a professional athlete, it's hard to envision, like to walk a mile in their shoes, say you're a professional athlete. You've been doing this for like 15 years, playing all these games. You're really good. You actually don't need the media to help you at this point.
Right.
Like, would you still be that person that comes out every night and is like, what do you got? I'm here to talk, win or lose or whatever. And I feel like that shows a lot of character about a person.
Well, and I will say,
because it is still your job.
Dude, there's very few though that I've covered that have done that, like night in, night out. And especially when you're talking about baseball, you're talking about 162 game season and everyday players. And Michael Young was the only one that ever, like he was there every effing game.
Yeah.
And they were, when I first started covering the team, they were terrible. It was not pretty. And he was there after every game, before every game. He would sit there for I don't know if he kept track of how much time he would, but he was like, made sure that for the first 5 minutes that the media was in there, he was sitting in his locker.
And that is amazing. But that's a
rare,
that. And
that's
the
a
PR
rare
staff
breed.
probably loved it.
Well,
because they have their go-to people,
You won't find many people. I don't think you could find anyone in the media that's going to say anything negative about Michael.
Because of that.
Right. And that's what I tell people too. That's what I tell our players. I'm like, let me tell you something. The media is very easily not manipulated, but if you just show them the smallest courtesies,
big time.
Hey, how are you doing? Mm-hmm. Nice to see you. Smile, wave.
That's literally all it takes.
Literally. Because they're human beings too.
Yep.
And the vast majority of people that go into locker rooms or clubhouses, not that they want to be their buddies but it's not like anybody wants to be hated, right?
Yep.
So if you make them feel like the least bit welcome, they're like, wow, what a nice guy.
Like, and then you're like,
that guy is so
we have like a
nice.
connection.
Like he asked me about my kids.
Yeah.
Baseball game the other day, or whatever.
Yes.
Like it's just, it's not rocket science. And I'm sure Pete, like the diehard journalists will be like, you need to be very
but not anymore.
Objective and whatever. And that's fine. At the end of the day, writers, reporters, whatever, still humans, human things, feelings come into play, even if you don't want to acknowledge them. Mm-hmm. It's a story I've told a million times. When Elvis Andrus got his contract, big contract, didn't play well for a couple of years. His leash was so long with the media. You know why? Because Elvis was a good dude, treated everybody great, with respect, always was accountable, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
CJ Wilson, when he started to suck, everyone could not
write my story about how much this guy sucks.
How quickly can I write about how terrible he is? How quickly can I talk about how terrible he is? And it's not, it's just
human nature.
Human nature, right? Like the guy on, the writer on Twitter that is, so now I'm like, he's in my Craw.
He's in your Craw.
And I'm, so, it's just not rocket science. And for people to try to like ignore that it's there, I think that that's on you. And then
it's just the reality of it.
You're blind to it. And then that's worse, I feel like, than at least
really,
acknowledging that exists.
Yeah. And really, it's not like that person's going to get like a new contract because of it. It's like that person's going to get like respect, and they might have.
It's just the way you slant. It's the way that people slant things.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Like
it doesn't change the narrative. It doesn't change.
It's not that big of a deal.
It doesn't change the story. It doesn't change. Like Rugnet Odor, you know, the dude was not good his last couple seasons here. Obviously, it's not like anybody was trying to say that he was, but they also handled him a little bit differently because he was also too accessible, accountable, all those kind of things to where people didn't just like outright bash him. They presented the case, the story, and then, you know, maybe even tried to soften it a little bit because they do know him on a personal level.
And really, that's how all athletes should be, especially when they're young. It's like, come on, this is your job. What do you got to do? What do you got to do? Maybe if you're a dad and you've got like a bunch of kids to go home to or something like that. But a little bit of courtesy and answering people's questions goes a long way. There were always certain stars that they'd bring out like after a loss. Like you just knew the ones that they'd go to that are like, these guys are going to talk. And then I always felt so bad because they'd eventually get traded away or sent away. Like Alex Goligoski was one of them. Jason Demers was one of them. Like great personalities. Mark Fistrick was one of them. And then all of a sudden, like one by one, it's like, so-and-so has been traded. It's just like, wasn't there value there? Like your PR staff needs somebody that's going to fucking talk to these people every dang night. Because like the Jamie Benns of the world, we've seen how that can go. Like when you bring the captain out and he's pissed. Right. Because he is a very passionate player and everyone thinks he's like just a bad, like not bad dude, but like not nice and terrible with the media and all this. I'm like, no, that's just his personality. And he gets pissed. Like after they lose, he's pissed. I don't care how many games he's played. He's not a good person to bring out after a loss, but he's the captain. So you have to have those like fall guys that will come out and talk. There's a lot of value in that. If I was an athlete, I'd always talk.
Of course you would.
I'd always talk.
I know, but but I see where like, I can see where like my OCD would be like, I've got to get this, and this done and whatever. So I can see some of that. Yeah, you would be the perfect
I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah. No, you would be the perfect.
I'd be like, the perfect. Let's shoot the breeze. What you got? Like, I'm here for, I've got time. Kids are asleep. Yes. I've got all the time in the world.
Somebody's at home taking care of them. That isn't me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah. Media, sports media, athlete talk.
We've gone a lot of places here.
In our celebrity talk, I just have to mention so, I watch The Bachelor.
I know you do.
And I actually have fallen off. I've fallen off a bit because I just don't even have time that much lately to keep up. But Colton, I did watch that whole season when Colton Underwood was The Bachelor. And I always thought he was like a little bit off, but he recently, like a week ago, just came out on Good Morning America. He came out on Good Morning America. I wasn't even meaning that, but he was on Good Morning America and came out to Robin Roberts and told the world that he is gay. And I've just been like kind of shocked by it. Like not, you do you. And I'm glad that he can speak freely and speak his truth is what like all the articles said. And I think that's what she said, like, thanks for speaking your truth. But the fact that you go on a dating show and the whole premise is to find a wife and there's all these girls who, I don't know, some of them
Has anybody railed on him for screwing with all those girls' emotions?
No, because it's like, you know how it is? It's like they say on the hang zone, it's like a force field. It's like you can't say anything bad about him because he just was able to be brave enough to come out.
And good for him for coming out, but also too, there's ramifications to that.
Be gay, like don't do this.
Now, won't you take a step back?
These are people's like real lives, and a lot of them like leave their jobs. Granted, they become somewhat like celebrities at least for a few months afterwards.
I still cannot believe that The Bachelor is a thing.
The Bachelor is a thing, and I
can't believe it. It's insane.
It's now become more of these people use this platform and then they get famous from it. And now you can like make a real career on like Instagram.
Oh yeah, for sure.
None of them have real jobs anymore. Even if you like were like the 10th one to be eliminated, it's still such a big
thing.
Like, it's still such a big audience.
Many things on network television that are still a thing.
I know.
And Bachelor's one of them.
But they have had a lot of controversy lately with the whole like racial stuff going on with they had the first black bachelor on, and then the girl he chose, they found out had like gone to antebellum parties like 2 years ago that she said like, I don't know, it was just a party. It was just like a frat party.
Right.
And she didn't like do the research and find out that it was actually an antebellum party, like essentially celebrating like people who had slaves back in the day. And the bachelor had already chosen her and then realized that he can't date somebody who didn't connect the dots.
Right.
Because he was black or half black. And then the whole controversy with Chris Harrison, because Chris Harrison kind of defended her, just saying like, it's just cancel culture, whatever.
Right.
And then he got swarmed and he got attacked. And then Chris Harrison was off the show. Like, it's all so wild.
Yeah.
And I like him. He's a Dallas guy. He's a Lake Highlands guy.
Yeah.
Like, I've always loved Chris Harrison. I watched the show. Like, it won't be the same without him.
So he's done for good?
No, we don't know. He's not hosting The Bachelorette, which is shooting now. They chose 2 former bachelorettes, Caitlin Bristow, who I actually like. I follow all of her stuff, and I really like her. She's really funny and cool. She's a Canadian gal. But
okay, when's it starting? I feel like we need to. I feel like I need to get in.
Yeah,
with you.
I think that this.
Like, I feel like I need to. We need to do this for the show.
Let's do it for the show. Caitlin and Tasha are like splitting the co-hosting duties, and the Bachelorette is going to be a girl named Katie. Who was on Matt's episode, and she really got like famous or whatever. Like, everyone fell in love with her when the girls were all bullying each other, and she stepped in and was kind of like, "What are we doing here? Like, why are you being so rude to each other?" Like,
good for her.
And then that's like all it takes these days. It's like, whoa, like,
okay. So
everyone
when does
loves
it
her.
start?
Let's make her the Bachelorette. I know they're still shooting, so it's probably not going to start for another, like, I'd say a couple months.
Okay. Well, you have my word.
Okay.
I will make a commitment.
Okay.
To watch The Bachelorette.
Yeah.
I feel like I can handle The Bachelorette more so than The Bachelor. And let me tell you something. When this first came out, I was in it. I was into it.
Yeah. Like,
and also let me reveal that there was a time when I was like, Trista and Ryan.
Yeah. You were into it back then.
There was a time when I was in Lubbock, effing Texas, as a young professional person.
You wanted to go on it?
I was like, I mean, why not? I can't imagine how that would have ended for me. Like, pretty sure I would have not been selected, but I just don't think that.
I'm sure you would have been selected.
I mean, I just don't know that cameras on me at all times.
What do you mean? You have a camera on your face every night.
Yeah, it comes. It's a set time, right? Game starts at 7.
I put a camera on you all the time because this is good stuff.
Yeah,
I think you would have been great. You would have been great TV. You would have been quality.
It would have been. Listen, it's a good thing.
I actually went and auditioned for it when I was in college.
You did?
Mm-hmm. Me and one of my girlfriends.
That's so funny. I didn't go that far. I just thought about it.
Well, they had an audition like at a bar one night, and I was like, "Oh, hell yeah!" So we went and we sat in front of the camera and just answered some questions, and then they actually called both of us back and wanted us to make a video, but it had to be it was real hardcore. It was like, do this and show this and blah blah blah, and I was like. I was a journalism student having to make, I was just so busy. I didn't see myself creating this hardcore video and then mailing it in just for the small chance that you get chosen. So I didn't even do it. But
okay, well, I'm watching The Bachelorette for the show when it comes out.
I think it'll be good for us.
I do too. Okay, surgery.
Do you ever watch any of those Below Decks or I have the Southern Charm?
Southern Charm.
You watch that?
And Summer House.
Really?
Are my
those are not any better than The Bachelor, by the way.
No, I don't disagree.
Okay. Because I'm just saying these are some that I hear about, but I don't know.
So Summer House and Southern Charm. Yeah, I'm in.
What's Southern House?
Summer House.
Oh.
It's these young people that live in New York or Manhattan or whatever, and then they on the weekends they go to this house in the Hamptons. And all sorts of tomfoolery ensues.
Do we watch these things because our lives
it makes you feel better?
So much
no,
I'm like
I watch these things and The Real Housewives because I'm like I just thought I was crazy. These bitches are really crazy, and I am so normal.
Yes,
that's why I watch reality TV, is to make myself feel normal. Yeah. I mean, it totally works. It
totally works.
Got this shit all figured out.
Yeah, but it's also probably part of us
those.
is those years where you're alone, young and single and traveling or going on dates or whatever. We will never do that again. And it's kind of fun to watch other people.
It is, but you couldn't pay me any amount of money to go back to that time.
Well, no, but would you want to be 20 again?
No.
I mean, we don't want to be young and we don't want to be single and dating now, but
no.
You didn't like those years?
Oh no, I've loved every stage of my life.
Yeah.
I would not want to go back to any of them.
Really?
No. Oh my God, to be dating again? How exhausting.
Dating doesn't
Especially
sound fun,
now.
but I sometimes miss just being single with not a care in the world.
and no kids and
Just
no,
like,
no
I'm
husband.
gonna go
just
to the
do
bar.
whatever.
I'm gonna do this tonight. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go to dinner with some girlfriends, and I don't have to like pay someone freaking $20 an hour to do so. Like, I do miss those days, but yes,
But we can still have those in small doses.
we can. And
Yes.
there's a reason you get older.
There's a reason you graduate
That
from
gets
those.
old. Yes,
Yeah.
and it's good now to.
I don't think I'm physically capable of going back to my 20s.
I don't either. I mean,
I don't know how your 20s were, but my 20s were pretty good. They were good.
too.
Yeah, they were great. I have no regrets.
I
don't-
sometimes think I'm 20 and then I'll have like 2 drinks
Oh.
and like just be dead the next day. Like
happened to me.
once again.
Yeah.
Getting
I had
old.
lunch with a girlfriend today and she was like, they went to a concert or something on Saturday and she was like, and we were on our way home at 2:30 a.m. and I was like, oh my God. You were out at 2:30? What? And she's like, I mean, like, she was like, dude, chill out. But I was like, I mean, the thought of like, I think about like 2:30 and I'm like, oh my God, that's 10 hours.
You've got to get up
from now.
and run like 4 hours after
Shut
that.
up. But it just was like, oh my gosh, like 2:30. And like, that's when stuff was just getting cranking.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I told you.
Where do we go? Where's the after party?
Isn't that crazy?
Oh my gosh, it makes me want to
But you
vomit.
also didn't have to do anything the next day.
Right. Or you did.
You could just lay around, or you did and you fought through it and you like
Yeah.
went to class
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're just like, "Ugh."
yeah.
We went to dinner Saturday night and my whole plan was to like, go out. Like, let's go
Oh,
out. Let's do
get
it.
after
And
it.
like, we went to dinner and it was like, all right. Well, like, even I was like the one that spearheaded the whole thing and I couldn't wait to get home and just go to sleep. It's so sad, but such is life.
It is. Okay.
Such is life.
We had so many
We
topics.
ran the gamut
We did run the gamut. I mean,
and we got your stuff out of your craw.
bless my craw. Bless my craw.
Do you feel freed?
I do.
Okay, good.
I mean, I feel like we know about
You got to get that shit out of your
condiments.
craw.
Yeah, we know about Heinz 57
You
sauce.
want that stuff in your craw like through the whole week
I
and then
talked
the
about
weekend.
stuff that was in my craw.
Yeah. Let's clear our
We got
craws.
you ready for surgery.
Hashtag clear our craws. I need to clear my craws.
Hashtag
before-
clear your craw.
I think my craw is
Hey,
cleared.
let's do that.
Yep.
Let's put it out there to the mom gamers.
I like
clear
it.
your craw. What's on your mind?
What's on your mind? What can you not get rid of? What are you holding on to?
What are you holding on to?
It's like
Clear
a-
your craw.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's
Good luck with
we've
surgery
become a
tomorrow.
self-help podcast.
We are. Episode 57 of the
Thank you.
books. Glass is empty.
Yep. Indeed.
As it should be. Cheers.
Cheers.
Mom game out.
Mom came out.